Hi, Rob Browne here. We've got a special guest, Dari Nowkhah, SEC Network, joins us this morning. And Dari, you are a busy man. Appreciate you checking on with us this morning. Got carpool. Brendan's got carpool, but it's a great, the greatest time of your life. I've got 4 kids. I'd give anything to be back in the carpool line. Sunday, I'm texting you. You're out there flying into Las Vegas. Then my wife and everybody were over here at the farm in Arkansas, outside of Memphis, watching you. You got entertainers on the set. You and Jordan Rogers, true professionals that you are. I got to say, boomer sooner to you because I know you're an OU grad. Y'all just walked right through it. But thanks for joining us this morning. And no excitement for college football. So let's talk about something.
Yeah, hey, that was a trip. We had a 1-hour show leading into that game in Vegas. I've never had a show like that. I mean, I've been in this business for 26 years. First of all, thanks for bearing with me as I'm in the car driving home. I got to get home by a certain time, blah, blah, blah. So thank you for that. But
Absolutely.
yeah, from Cirque du Soleil dancers around us to a Heisman Trophy winner. You know, Jaden Daniels came in for an interview. Obviously, the commissioner, Greg Sankey, came in for an interview. You know, we've got towards the end of the show, the Spirit of Troy band is like wedged up against us because we're on the sideline, and they're right there up against us because they're about to march out. So I figure, what the hell? Let's ask a couple of questions to a couple of random members of the USC band. I don't know, man. There was a lot there in that 60 minutes.
There really was. And the crowd was the crowd, I kind of lost you, but the crowd was just really into it. I think LSU had 40,000. I don't know what the capacity of Allegiant Stadium is, but it looked great on TV. And you know, and Dari, just I guess come back in when you can. The crowd, I think a lot of people didn't expect it to be that big in Las Vegas, but when you get LSU going anywhere, especially Las Vegas, you know it's going to be a great crowd. What'd you think about that matchup? Southern Cal, they got the win. Where does LSU go from here?
Well, you know what? I loved seeing Brian Kelly's anger, honestly, afterwards, right? Shades of Dennis Green slamming his fist on the table. You know, we are who we thought they are. We let him off the hook. I mean, he kind of said we let him off the hook. We don't know how to finish. I thought his reaction really said it all. I was encouraged by Garrett Nussmeier. I thought he played well. I do think, despite Miller Moss carving them up, especially in that fourth quarter, I thought there were certainly signs of improvement on the defensive side. I love the aggressiveness that Blake Baker employed there. We knew that was going to be the case. That's what he was and did at Missouri, and it looks like he's brought that with him to Baton Rouge. But honestly, Miller Moss was special. Like, I walked out of that building Thursday night, Jordan and I both did, saying, holy cow, man, like SC's got themselves a quarterback. That dude, his ball placement in key moments, his ball placement under pressure, the coolness under pressure, that guy, man, you look and you're like, there must have been a Heisman Trophy in front of him, a winner in front of him to keep him off the field the last couple of years. And obviously there was with Caleb Williams, but Miller Moss is a good one now. And they got beat by one heck of a quarterback.
Yeah, and a lot of course, LSU fans, we cover all the SEC on this show. They're pretty hacked off, and I understand that. But you play an opener like Florida State the previous 2 years and Southern Cal. This is not a directional school with a hyphen. You know, it's
Right.
real competition.
Right. Now, I mean, I can understand too. You get sick of being 0-1, right? And 5 years in a row they have been. So that I'd be frustrated too. But you know, and now, especially in a 12-team playoff era, it doesn't hurt you as much, right? So you know, but there certainly becomes urgency. You don't want to lose 2 more times for sure, or you're likely done. And you hope that you learn some things out of this. Again, it was a valuable experience for Nussmeier. Certain things I think you learn from, like why was Kyron Lacey targeted just 2 times in the second half after he had 7 for 91 or whatever it was in the first half, and SC did not have a defensive answer for him. I don't know where he went.
Yeah.
I thought we saw in that first half, we saw them kind of set Harold Perkins free a little bit, and he wreaked a lot of havoc. Where was he in the second half? I do think that, I think SC made adjustments in the second half that LSU didn't counter, and I don't think LSU made any, quite honestly. So, there's certain things that you pull out of that game, you move forward with them, and you hope that you get them resolved. 0-1 is not where you want to be. There's no doubt about it. And I think they have the right to be frustrated because, as Brian Kelly said, they certainly had a chance to put the clamps down, and they couldn't. And Miller Moss carved them up in that final drive. And a targeting call that was the right call.
Yeah, that one.
The 30-yard line and set up a chip shot for the win.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we saw Woody Marks take the first play in after that.
Yeah. And Woody Marks was a Mississippi State guy, transferred to Southern Cal, comes back and beats LSU. He had to be loving that. That's the portal. Yeah. Let's switch gears, head down to the swamp. Got a lot of Gators that watch this show. I know you and Chris Doring do a great job. I absolutely love what you do on SEC Network. You've got that voice like the guy, let's get ready to rumble. When you're on TV, you're a great one. Buddy Martin, Brendan's dad, he does a show on our channel. He calls me a point guard of keeping all the guests and the flow going. It's because I'm watching people like you, and it's great to learn from you. But let's talk about that Florida game against Miami. Florida's got them. They got talent, but something's not working. There's a lot that's not working. What's your take?
Exactly that. I mean, there's a lot that's not working. What ticks Doring off as a Gator, and rightfully so, is still just a recurring lack of discipline, idiotic penalties, late hits that keep drives alive. That's the kind of stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that is going to cost a coach a job. That's the kind of stuff that cannot continue. I was talking to somebody actually in Vegas that covers the SEC that was out there, and he said, you go to like an Alabama practice, you go to a Georgia practice, and every single rep, the defensive linemen have their hands in the right place. The offensive linemen are lined up on time. You go to practices at Florida, and it doesn't look the same. There are little things that are just not right, and they're not being corrected. And what does that lead to? It leads to late hits on third down against a really good football team that gives them a chance to go in and score, and they do. And all of a sudden you're looking at the scoreboard, and you're at home, and you're getting your ass kicked, and that's what happened. And I would not call for somebody's job, but there are those that do, and I understand it. Things aren't getting fixed. I mean, what are you doing if things aren't getting fixed? And they're completely and utterly fixable things. Yeah. They have too much to be what they are. They have too much to yeah. Any optimism that Doring had, I think went out the window. Not because they lost that game, because of how they lost that game. Miami's better than Florida. Like, we know that. Miami's better. But they're not that much. They shouldn't be that much better. Yeah.
Yeah. By year 2, you should see discernible progress. In year 3, you shouldn't be going backwards. And I agree with that. Let's head out west. You are an OU graduate, Boomer Sooner. Like I mentioned, Chris Plank of the Oklahoma Football Network, sideline reporter, is going to join us here in the next segment. Nice. I'm excited about him. Growing up in Memphis, always watched Oklahoma. I mean, you live in Memphis. I grew up with the Leak family. Buddy Leak was on one of Bud Wilkinson's teams in the 50s with Billy Vessels. And it's just, they've got tons of tradition like Texas, but 52 conference championships, 7 national titles, 7 Heisman Trophy winners. Gaylord Family Stadium, September 21st, Tennessee comes to town. What's it going to be like? And now I'm excited. I hate that we lost Toby Keith. What a Sooner. What an American. But at the end of the third quarter, I believe they started a new tradition to play a Toby Keith song. But those people, I believe they fit in the SEC like steak and baked potato.
Yeah, seeing that patch on the uniform looked pretty darn good, didn't it? Last
Yes,
Friday night,
it
the
did.
logo on the field, it just fits. It all
Yeah,
fits, and you know, and it does in Austin too. It
yeah,
looks great and it fits, and that's we're in a really good place right now as a league. Yeah, but it was awesome. That my friends, family that went to that game Friday night. We were in studio. Obviously, they said it just kind of had a feel to it, and that Tennessee game is one that
yeah,
they've been looking forward to since the schedule came out. It's
yeah,
welcoming back Josh Heupel. He will be honored, I know, and he will get one hell of a reception when he gets back there. Nobody will
yeah,
forget the 2000 season. Nobody will forget the incredible record a season that he led them on to a national championship. That'll be great. Um, in their first conference game as an SEC member, it's going to be a really special. I'd give anything to be there that day. I'll be in studio, but it will be something to behold for sure.
yeah. And it makes me wonder. You think the SEC network will put a Western bureau in Memphis or Little Rock because now you've got Texas and OU holding down the Western flank, but I don't think there's any doubt the Tennessee fans are going to descend upon Norman. And then the next week, we'll be doing our show on Saturday live down there at Jordan-Hare Stadium, my school, when Oklahoma comes to town. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Dari, I've been to a couple of hundred at least Auburn games over the years. I was there December 2nd of 89 when Bama came to town. Nothing will beat that. Moses only parted the Red Sea once. But man, when Oklahoma is football royalty. That's, as Keith Donovan calls them, part of the television aristocracy of the 70s. I don't know if SEC Network's going to be there for that, but I hope y'all are.
I hope we are too. I mean, again, I'll be in studio, but that'd be a perfect spot for SEC
Yeah.
Nation, right? And I
Yeah.
wouldn't be, and I don't know if they are. That certainly hasn't been announced. I don't even know if that decision's been made yet, but it would be great. There's a chance they might go to Norman. I would think potentially for that Tennessee game.
Yeah.
And go to Auburn, but it will be awesome. And that's one of the things, like from the OU perspective. Again, I mean, friends of mine, family members, they are lining up to get tickets and have been to go to places like Auburn for the first time.
Yeah.
To go to Ole Miss for the first time. That season finale at LSU. These are places that they haven't necessarily been and that they can't wait to go. And I know Sooner Nation will be, making that trek to all of those places. And for a first conference road game at Auburn, I know a dozen people that I'm close with that are going to go to that game, and they've got their tickets and they can't wait. And just like all of the road trips that SEC members in Tennessee and South Carolina and Alabama will go to Norman, for the first time for many of them. That's one of the intriguing things about OU being in this league and Texas being in this league is the opportunity for the fans of those schools to go places they've never been, and fans of other SEC programs to go to places they've never been in Norman and in Austin. So, it's going to be, it will be really, really cool to see how the Crimson and Cream travels. And Jordan-Hare will be well represented by Crimson and Cream, just like Gaylord Family Memorial Stadium will be by folks wearing orange on that September 21st day.
Yeah, it really will. And your position up there in the studio, again, you are the point guard. I mean, you're running so much stuff through there. I look at other networks, these road trips and going to the training camps and all. I don't know if SEC Network will do that, but the content, I don't think we can ever get enough content of the players and where are they now. Brian Bosworth, he's going to be on that sideline. Everybody, we grew up with all these guys, and now they're coming into the league. I just imagine, I think when Florida goes to Austin November 9th, how big that will be. Let me switch now. Let's talk about Kirby Smart. Georgia right now, 40 straight regular season wins. Clemson and Georgia, they run their programs as Ellis Johnson was on our show yesterday, said in a lot of ways they're very similar, but Kirby is very selective in the portal. Dabo doesn't like it. 34-3. Georgia on quest to do it again with a 12-team playoff. Last year, they would have been there, but how good is this Georgia team?
What they did to Clemson defensively, we talk about all the time, right? The cabinets are full, and it's the recruiting, it's the depth, it's all of it. Every defense looks the same there, regardless of who's on it, and that says everything for Kirby. For Glenn Schumann, for the recruiter, for everybody that recruits on that staff. But then in the second half, it's 6-0 going into the third quarter, and you just kind of start seeing that offensive line do its thing, and Georgia run the ball with a good young stable of backs like they have and like they always have. It looks like Georgia. It looks like Georgia with a quarterback with a lot of valuable experience now, receivers that are going to continue to develop over the course of the season. Yeah, they look like a machine. I mean, and that's what they are. No reason not to think they're the best team in the country based upon what we saw, at least in one game.
All right, a couple of more real quick questions. I know you got to get going. My middle son lives and works up in Charlotte, so I know he's going to sneak over Saturday to Bank America Stadium for NC State and Tennessee. Hopefully, you'll be in studio, but that's going to be a big one in Charlotte. I was up there in February for several days visiting. What a city, by the way. Good God. But
we love it.
But man, it's so clean. It's just an awesome. It's a clash of SEC, ACC. It's a lot of fun. But what do you think is going to happen there with the Vols and the Wolfpack?
I tell you what. I mean, if anybody watched NC State this week, they would not have been impressed. I mean, they were sitting there trailing Western Carolina at home in Raleigh in the third quarter.
Yeah. Grayson McCall I'm surprised he didn't dominate. Yeah. And Grayson McCall, Dari, we're having a little connection issue. I think. What did you think of Nico Iamaleava, what you saw of him? I know it was UT Chattanooga. You also saw him in the bowl game against Iowa.
Nothing to not like about him. I mean, his accuracy and ball placement is incredible, right? And again, you look for a redshirt freshman, a young guy with no real experience except for that one game, and you say, how do they look in the pocket or the feet jumping around? And they weren't, man. He looks calm. You look around that are really debuts in this league. Taylor Green to Jackson Arnold, Norman. Nothing about those guys. They look apart. They look like they belong. Blake Shapen, down his first start in the SEC. But specifically, Nico, impressed as you could be. For that young guy. And Tennessee looks great. And if you're basing what we saw in week one, from Tennessee and NC State, you got to like Tennessee big in Charlotte, because it looks like NC State's got a little bit of work to do to develop some offensive consistency, and Tennessee's defense might not be the one to try to do that against.
Yeah, absolutely. Way, hey, Dari, look, let people know how they can follow you. Oh, it's no problem at all. Look, we're going to do this again with you. You are a fantastic guest to have on this show. You really know the league, and you are the point guard on that network, and I love watching you. Our audience does. That's why we brought you on here. Tell people how they can follow you, keep up with you, and if you would, give us a retweet. We'll put your stuff out there. We really appreciate, again, the great work you do.
Oh, happy to do it, man. Yeah, we'll just, we did the Vegas thing, which was the first time we'd actually traveled studio, SEC Now type studio to a regular season game. We always do it in the postseason, but I'll be in studio almost every Tuesday, including tonight, Fridays, Saturdays,
Yeah.
My guys Benjamin Watson, CD,
Yeah.
Chip Doring. So we'll just keep doing our thing. Look, it's easy to be a good point guard when you got guys that want to shoot all the time. So that's great. Let them shoot, especially CD. Now that guy will get up some shots. So you really want that guy to shoot. So just
Yeah.
keep pitching it. You know how
Yeah.
it works.
Oh yeah. Well, and the great thing is Ben played in the NFL 17 years, Chris a long time, and they really know what they're doing. But I will say this: those guys, SEC Nation, better watch out. I thought you and Jordan did a great job out there, especially with all the distractions around you. True grit journalism is what I saw on display out there. Right? Hey, Super Dad, you and Brendan both running the carpool line this morning. Cannot say enough good things about you, but we will do it again and be watching you tonight.
You're too kind, man. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. It's good to talk to you, man, and look forward to doing it next time.